It is 5:30. I'm going to call to order the September 2023 meeting of the Economic Development Commission. Do a roll call vote. Director McLaughlin? Here. Changes. Larry Calvert? Gada Fahmy?
Here.
Patrick Roby?
Here.
JP Hotchbaum? Tony Odo? Here. Ethan Tudor-Leon?
Here.
And Patrice Gallagher?
Here.
Okay. Trustee Kumar. Let's see if it comes in again. Okay, we have enough for start our meeting. Let's move on to if I could get an approval from the August minutes.
I'd like the motion to approve the minutes.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, got it? Patrick. Okay. Everybody's had a chance to read through those. I know they were sent to us earlier. Okay, moving on to new business. Director McLaughlin is now our Director of Community Development and Economic Development. Patrick Burke is his position has been removed. Do you want to give a little introduction?
I just want to do a quick introduction. I'll be the responsible party for you guys now. Community development and economic development have always been a single department with two directors, and over the last year with Manager Harline looking at everything, eliminated the economic development director position and consolidated everything under one house. So this is my baby now. I come from a long line of municipal, community, and economic development. This will be next year will be year 20 for me in government service, and next week will be my 1 year at Villa Park. So I've been doing TIFs and redevelopment agreements and annexations in our previous municipalities. So all that stuff that comes with how do we get things going is my wheelhouse. So that's why it made sense to merge and make this happen. So I'll be here and
Welcome to the Economic Development.
thank you. Yep, and you guys all have my card, which got my email. I believe my cell's on there too. So I'm available for any sidebar conversations, anything you want to know, what's happening on this particular block or anything. I'm your guy. So
Great,
feel free to reach
wonderful.
out. Yeah,
We'll get to know each other.
yeah, for sure.
Wonderful. Okay, we'll then move on to St. Charles Corridor presentation.
Excellent. Yeah, so as you are probably aware, well, I got to preface, right? Because I'm not sure what everybody knows, right? So the village had started the process of creating a new TIF district along the St. Charles Corridor, TIF 7. That's what we're referring to it as. That started earlier in 2023, went through all the notification processes, had a couple of meetings, and then realized there were a couple of hiccups in the actual document, so we put it on pause. And now that we've adjusted a couple of things, and I'll get into that in a little bit, we are now kicking off that process again. We've got a new TIF plan dated the end of 2023, a new boundary, and we are starting the notification process. We have already sent notices to the property owners within 750 feet of the TIF. It's like a heads up, this is going to happen. And then we just last week, Pat sent out certified mail to the property owners within the TIF saying, hey, we're creating this thing and we have a meeting for you guys that we can all come together and ask all the questions on October 2nd.
Okay.
So in the meantime, while those technical notifications are happening, I'm also doing what I call the road show, and I'm going out to School District 88, School District 45, the Library District, and the Economic Development Commission, so I can give you guys the full dog and pony of what we're doing and give you the opportunity to ask me all the detailed questions that you guys care about. And then we can make any adjustments in the plan as necessary if we miss anything. I think it looks pretty good. We're pretty locked in on what we'd like to see. But this is the opportunity, and there's just a little slide presentation here about the TIF process. I don't know how long you guys have been around. The last TIF was created in 2014, so that's been a little while. So TIF may be new to some of you, and so I figured let's do a little bit of education and rock and roll. So, what is a TIF? Well, I'm already using acronyms. TIF is tax increment financing, okay? It is a technique that the state of Illinois allows municipalities to use to create a district, an actual geographic area that says any new taxable value goes into a separate fund, and then you can use that money on what's known as TIF eligible expenses, right? I can get you this report.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get it.
Yeah, I got you. It's PDF, I can get it to you.
Okay,
And then you can use that to help incentivize projects. You can help pay for land acquisition. You can help pay for demolition costs. You can help pay for public infrastructure if they need a new water line, a new sewer line. All those things can be paid for in a TIF, and the actual creation of it is what helps fund those things.
And those projects are inside of that TIF district?
Yes,
Right.
they have to be inside. Yep,
Okay.
exactly. So an adjacent to doesn't have that same benefit. So it's not a new tax, but it is a new line item on your tax bill. It will say TIF 7 or TIF 6 or any of the TIFs that we already have right now. If anybody lives in one right now, go look at your tax bill. You'll see on the very bottom, TIF, and that's a separate dollar amount. It's not new, it's just not going to the other taxing districts that would have received that money. But it's not a new tax, it's peeling off and putting it, hey.
Hi.
So yeah, as I said, it captures that increase in value, not new. The goals, why are we doing this in the first place? To eradicate any of the blighted conditions that are in a particular area. Right now we're talking about the St. Charles corridor. So we're not at blight level yet, but we're getting to the point where there's code enforcement issues. The structures are over 35 years old. The maintenance of the sites haven't been up to a standard that, that means that building's got a long useful life. Now their useful life is coming to an end, so how do we help incentivize some of those property owners or even new developers that want to come in and acquire it, demo it, and build something completely new? And it's also to improve the existing public utilities, which also includes not just undergrounds, but roadway, streetscape, landscaping, park benches, those things that create a nice pedestrian-friendly, hey, I want to be at this place, we're going to open a new restaurant, would it be cool if there was a bench outside, bike racks, all that fun stuff.
Easements.
Yeah, access to the site is one thing that we can help pay for. So, that's why we do it. So I got into this a little bit, but this is the magic chart. This is the chart that you're going to see everywhere that anyone talks about a TIF anywhere, right? So all those properties that are in the TIF, that's known as the base EAV, equalized assessed value. How much are those valued at day one of the TIF creation, right? And then somebody does a new project and it increases the value of that site. That increase is the light gray triangle. That goes into the separate fund. And then so TIF can use all those funds to do everything. All the taxing bodies still get that base EAV for the next 23 years. Basically flatlines it. Any of the increase goes into the fund that we can then use to do development agreements to say, we'll give you 50% back of whatever increase you had. And the other 50% we're going to keep and do cool projects with, right? Then at the end of the 23-year life, your TIF expires, boom, all the money gets redispersed to all the taxing districts. There's no more TIF fund, and then they get the benefit of the last 23 years of all those improvements and all those things that were put into it. Year 23 hits their coffers, everybody's happy. As an example, when Ovaltine TIF 2 stopped, there was $1 million surplus. All the taxing districts got that surplus broken by what their percentage is on their tax bill, plus the increment, the hit on their actual annual property tax. Yeah, it was a good deal. Ovaltine is basically like a white paper on how to do a TIF. It was perfect. So ingrain that in your head. That's how TIFs work.
Does it ever, hopefully not, but does it ever, the value goes down, like the value of the
Sure.
area goes down, and how does that affect?
Absolutely can. You have your base. So if it goes down, there is no more increase to the school districts. I'm using the school
Yeah,
districts as an
they're
example,
gonna
or
stay
library or
based
whoever.
on-
It's just base is base.
Okay.
Over the 23 years, the idea is to increase. Will there be a drop down and then a spike? Absolutely positive. If the municipality goes in and acquires property, that's a zero because we are tax exempt.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there will be a dip on there. That's only on that particular property. It's not the actual levy that the district takes. That property will be at zero because the tax exempt, so it'll dip, and then when the project comes on board, everything jumps and everybody's happy again.
Okay.
But over 23 years, no.
Yeah,
But
right.
in the time, yes, absolute potential.
So now-
Yeah. So the Joint Review Board, this is the agency that we have to report to annually. And in order to create a TIF, we also have to have a meeting with them. The Joint Review Board is one representative from all the taxing districts. So, school district, library, township, we have a fire district, but normally it'd be a fire department, that kind of stuff. So, those guys would all show up to the table, we would make a full presentation, and then they would actually vote. So that's gonna happen in January of 2024. They're actually gonna vote, and I'm talking to everybody, and I'm hoping it's gonna be positive, so that that's a positive recommendation to the village board that we should do this TIF. If for some reason they say no, we vote no, the village board still takes action, and they just need to have a supermajority vote in order to approve the TIF. So they're basically a recommending body, but we're really hoping that everybody's on board and it's a unanimous, yeah, let's do this thing. So that's the creation, and then annually, the Joint Review Board meets, and we present what did the TIF take in from a dollars perspective, and then what did we spend that money on? What improvements did we do? Did we do a traffic study? Did we do a fiscal analysis? Did we spend those? Did we do a physical improvement? Did we buy bike racks? Did we put in a new road? So annually, we give a financial analysis to the Joint Review Board that they say, hey, I don't think you're spending this money right. I'm going to raise red flags. Or you guys are doing exactly what you said you're going to do. You're following a TIF plan and everything's good. Annual requirement, state statute requirement. So the minimum requirements of the actual plan. The TIF plan is the actual thing that's getting adopted to create the TIF district. And so a couple of requirements that are in this document. The actual boundary, because you can't be wishy-washy. It is locked in with a very tight legal description. Either that property's in or that property's out.
And it has to be continuous at certain points. I mean, you can't jump parcels.
Correct. The TIF boundary needs to be contiguous. You can't have a gap in it. And if you want a certain area in it, and I'll show you on the map an example of it. If you want something in it, like this corner, an intersection, right? And that property is long, the entire thing comes with it. You can't take half a property. You have to take the entire PIN, parcel identification number. The entire parcel has to come in. And you'll see on our map, there's a donut hole in it. And I'll explain to that when we get to the map. So yes, so you have your goals and your objectives of this is what we want to do, this is what we want to accomplish, the reason for establishing it. You guys can look down St. Charles and you can probably just write that yourselves. Your proposed budget, and then your timeline. So the budget is what do we expect for revenue to have, that actual increase, that increment, what do we expect that to be if these certain projects hit? And then the timeline, how long will it take to actually accomplish certain goals, right? Conformance with the comp plan, which it does. The process to amend it, that's built in there. The impact to the taxing districts, that's a financial analysis. And then finally is the but for. This is the state test that says how TIFs can happen. This project would not happen but for the TIF being created. Would this project stand alone and do what it wants to do without TIF? If the answer is yes, we're in trouble. If the answer is no, you need the TIF, it's exactly the reason why it's here. And then the plan that we're presenting meets all these requirements are in there. We're locked in. We're working with Tesca and Associates, which is a TIF consultant. They do this everywhere. So we weren't messing around. We just went to the guys who know what's going on. Eligibility requirements for TIF. This is getting into that state statute. How do you create one, right? We're looking at least 50% of the existing structures are over 35 years old. Check. We also have deterioration happening. We have building code issues going on. We've had a decline in EAV. So we talked about that just a second ago, right? So naturally, right now, that is happening. So the value of the properties are actually going down because the reinvestment is not happening. TIF we're going to try and stop that, stop the bleeding, if you will. Try and put some funding into this thing and get it going. Excessive vacancies, can see we've got a vacancy that I'm not a fan of. And then lack of community planning. So this goes, on that one, we're looking at St. Charles Road itself. It is from the front of the building to the front of the building is asphalt or pavement. And there's no trees, there's no landscaping. The sidewalk is at 3 feet. Standards today is 5 feet. You're also at a carriage walk. If your carriage walk standard should be 7 feet. Like community planning didn't exist. How do we make a wider road? You just pave it. Well, that's not planning. That's not forward thinking. And so that happened back in the 70s, and now we're dealing with the repercussions of that. It was never going to be a big box corridor, but they're like, how many cars can we get on here to move traffic through town? Not how can we get traffic into town? How can we get people here to stop and spend money, build that tax base up? And we had it, and then they blew it out to this massive road. And if you look at aerials from the 70s, it's comical because you're like, man, that would have been awesome. Right? Main Street USA, like everybody has that idea in their head right now. That's what it was. And then this happened, and now we're dealing with it. So here we are, 40 years later, trying to fix it. Yeah. So a couple of things that don't qualify are on the right. So
What's the difference between dilapidation and deterioration?
deterioration is that you have actual structural issues. Dilapidation is that the door fell off and you're going to put it back on. The awning fell off, you're going to put it back. Deterioration is you need. Oh boy, you haven't tuck pointed in 20 years. Like that wall is going to collapse. That's the difference.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's the boundary area. So this is different from the previous plan. We made some adjustments, strategic adjustments. One of them is that every property in Villa Park that is on St. Charles Road is now in the plan. That was not the case on the original one. So we adjusted that. We also brought it south on Villa Avenue to capture the intersection of Villa Avenue and the Great Western Trail. There's butterfly gardens there now. There's the nice arch with the brick stuff. We wanted to capture that intersection in case some additional beautification and streetscape was needed there to really bring people down to that intersection, that corridor. We're doing the Tri-Trail Connector. We're doing all these things there. We wanted to capture that intersection. That parcel is the entire length of the Great Western Trail. Mm-hmm. So to my earlier point, that if you want to have some part of it in your boundary, you have to include the entire parcel and PIN number. That PIN goes from Ardmore to Villa.
Right. And that's south of the
Yep.
south of the Western Trail, that
Yep.
whole segment there.
Yes, so where it says Wildwood Boulevard,
Yeah.
the Great Western Trail is adjacent to Wildwood Boulevard.
Mhm.
So it captures that entire length. Only because I have to meet legal requirements of including the entire parcel did I include it in. But it creates this fun little donut hole that we get to talk about now. So that's the deal. That's what's going on there. To capture that intersection that we know we're going to end up spending some dollar amount, even if it's a low dollar amount, some dollar amount in the next 23 years, we had to include that entire strip in the middle description. So that's what's going on there.
So what's
Yeah.
not in there? Just the residential section? Is that?
Yeah, so those are the residential
That's the
homes
residential home.
in there are not captured.
Okay.
All of the commercial retail buildings that are on St. Charles are captured.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the union is part of
Yeah.
that?
The Union is right there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the Union site. This is the Lions new rec center that is going to be happening here any week now. That's on this parcel.
Yeah.
And then this is the Union. And
So
then
Ace
the Ace is right here, right?
Yeah.
Yep, and this is that parking lot. And then this is BMO.
Okay.
Actually, BMO owns these 4.
Mhm.
So,
The little parking lot. And
yep, the parking lot by itself over here. Then they got that sliver, so that's all BMO. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Ovaltine TIF was right here. So it was a shared line. Right here is the rest of that Ovaltine. So this entire block is Ovaltine, that TIF 2. So that's gone. That's done. It's off the books. But it was adjacent to here. And then, yeah, so this is the Villa Park boundary line. So it goes to the extent. And then the creek, which is why it's curved like this, is the other Villa Park boundary line. So it goes from St. Charles from boundary to boundary. We are capturing the entire corridor that we have control
And none
over.
of that is TIF district right now?
There is an old TIF that is still on the books, but it is old and has never been utilized. TIF 4 is right in this area.
Like
So that is
Oakfield Ford or the motorcycle shop.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yep. Oakfield Ford, is that what you refer to it
Yeah.
as? So it's called the Oakfield TIF.
Okay.
Yes. And then only, no offense, the old timers know what the Oakfield TIF actually means because it was the Oakfield Ford.
Yeah.
It's not, that name has been long gone.
Sure.
So, TIF 7 fully encompasses anything that was over TIF 4. So TIF 4 is going to go away in January of
Reset,
2024.
basically a reset.
It's not technically a reset because we are completely dissolving and closing out that account, and that's just done. And then TIF 7 in its entirety will be started from scratch. There is also an area that is TIF 5 right now. TIF 5 comes down like this over here and then captures the rest of the Villa Avenue. Okay? This and this are going to be removed from TIF 5, gone, and TIF 7 is put on top of it. And then TIF 5 existing will continue to exist just like it does, and that will have its expiration date in 20, whatever it is, 30 something or other.
14 years.
Yeah, about 14. So, yes, good question. TIF 4, which hasn't produced anything, is going to go away. TIF 5 is going to get carved in half.
Oakfield TIF hasn't
Yeah.
been generating anything really anyway. So.
Nope. It has not.
Okay.
No. So, yeah. Besides that, those are the only areas. Nothing is over here. There's never been a TIF over here. So no. The other ones, as you are aware, is at the metro station and then North Avenue. So yeah, over time, 7 have been approved, and this will be number 7 approved. Yep, 1 and 2 are expired. TIF eligible expenses. I talked a little bit about this. So this is every development that we go through. You have to establish what is a TIF eligible expense. If there isn't enough to a value standpoint, then the project usually doesn't pencil and doesn't make sense. So this is why we include things as all the utilities and road improvements, those are all TIF eligible. Environmental cleanup. This is one that we looked at when we redid the plan, is that we upped our environmental cleanup dollars in anticipation of some of these old gas station sites, these old industrial sites getting redeveloped.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a gas station or an old industrial, I automatically consider it dirty. I don't have the study. Nobody's told me that. I'm going to assume and account for that dollar amount because, I mean, the IEPA has only gotten more strict, and that's okay, but I need to account for that from a financial perspective. So I'm adding environmental cleanup dollars into our TIF 7 because there's old gas stations. I mean, there's an old gas station down the block, right? Like, we just did an IEPA agreement with them. So they're here. They're everywhere. And if people weren't around back in the 50s, they didn't realize that, oh yeah, that was a gas station. And yeah, it's been a retail shop since then. Well, once you put a hole in the ground and you find your tanks, now we got problems, right? So we're accounting for that. Facade improvements, we're already doing that now. We've got a small facade improvement program going. So, Villa Perk, that kind of stuff, just small dollars to fix the outside. That's a TIF eligible expense. And then property assembly, which is a big one, right? We have a lot of older property owners that maybe are looking to retire and their 401k is in the property. They need to cash out. They're not going to sell for cheap. They want their full dollar amount. Well, sometimes we have to help the developer split that gap because we don't need the guy that's been here for 50 years taking a haircut. We want to be able to help this project come to fruition, so the TIF is there to help for property assembly and acquisition. But we cannot pay.
Is that only is that for single parcels or if you're assembling several parcels?
Both.
Okay.
Both. The idea is to help with the assembly, right? But an assembly could also be a single parcel.
Okay.
Yep. It cannot pay for direct private construction costs. I cannot pay for that building to be built. That's not a TIF eligible expense. That is the developer's responsibility. They need to figure out. We're here for the public improvements, property assemblage, demolition, those kind of things. Go build the building. You can figure that out, guys. So, Tesca and I went down the entire corridor, parcel by parcel, block by block, property owner by property owner, and said, hey, what are some ripe opportunities for development, for redevelopment? what whole block can happen? What strategically would make sense? So we have outlined these A through U with the acreage there. This is the hit list. This is what we're gonna go after for the next 23 years. If things also happen that aren't on this list, awesome, right? Because that's incredibly successful. But this is our goal to accomplish I don't even know, what is it? A through U, what is that, 20 something? 18? I don't know. These sites over the next 23 years, right? And they're color coded to show what the assemblage would potentially look like. So if you look at H, that's a whole block development. That's almost 3 acres. It's 6 property owners right now. But if they can go and do a joint venture together and say, we're willing to sell to one guy, and we're all going to sign off, that's an entire block development for 3 acres. I can't find 3 acres to develop anywhere else in Villa Park. We're landlocked, right? I can't just go annex some more land and call it a day.
What streets are those?
This is Michigan, and then this is that T of Home Avenue. So Home Avenue is right here, and this is where T is.
Is that Harvard then?
I think so.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I think it's Harvard. Yeah.
Harvard.
Okay,
Sorry. Yep.
Harvard to Michigan.
Yeah, that's Harvard. So home supply, home plumbing supply. That's right here in the center. Yeah. So it's like these guys. They've got all small businesses, but they've also been doing it for a long time. If someone wants to buy that block and cut a deal, that is an excellent opportunity for redevelopment. We talked about the BMO site. That's another good corner. Banks are fine, right? But they're not producing population, not producing retail use. It's just a bank. I mean, banks can really go anywhere. But I'm not kicking anybody out. This is an opportunity, right?
Right. Yeah.
I don't get to make those decisions. That's the private market.
I know some people have heard. I've heard some of the business owners. Oh, the village is going to buy up our property.
Yeah,
They said it's not
how that works. It's not how that works
Hey,
at all.
Mark, is Jewelry Exchange in
Jewelry
there?
Exchange is here. Jewelry Exchange and all of its land is S.
Yeah, and they own all that.
Yeah, so Pacific Nut Company owns all of this. Jewelry Exchange is a tenant for that property. And we included the tobacco hut and the 8-unit whatever building there to create now a 3.5 acre site. Right. So until you actually do the assemblage, do you have a usable actual acreage to do something cool with? Yeah, so that's that entire block development. That would be fantastic. I mean, without getting too complicated, to enable to park it appropriately, first floor commercial and 2, 3, 4 stories above it of residential, you could fit 300 units on that.
Wow.
Yeah, so talk about the value of it right now to the value of what it could be. Shot in the arm for every taxing district in our area. That is the point. That's what we're trying to do. How do we change this corridor to what it is to something that it could be? So what does it mean? Over the next 23 years, if all those come to fruition, which obviously is a tall tale, it's $260 million worth of private investment, which would increase the EAV by $87 million. Which is an annual increase to just the village's property tax line of $1 million. Just here. Not all the other rest of the stuff that happens in the village. Just
These are
this.
today's dollars.
This is today's, correct, sir. This is today's dollars, not taken into consideration for inflation. 23 years from now, you apply your multiplier, it's going to be a lot more than that. But today's dollars is $1 million. Not taken into consideration of this is the additional sales tax, the users for water rates, and all those other things that I can't quantify. But more people equals more money into the local economy. Yeah, sales tax is right off the bat, man. Any of those retailers with another 1,000 users, it's fantastic. Start seeing restaurants, start seeing entertainment, start seeing things that we don't have because now you're putting population down here. That's how it works.
And is the plan including 5-foot sidewalks?
Yeah, 5 at a minimum. Yeah.
Fabulous.
So, I've done this presentation to 88 and 45. I'm going to be doing it to the library in a little bit. 3.7 million to 45, and ours is $1 million. Like, because it's based on how much they get. So, like, they're getting real money annually. like real money. We're not even kidding. It's crazy. And that's why we hit the ground running and we start talking to developers early, and the union hopefully pulls the trigger early next year so that hits all 23 years. It's going to be fantastic. General facts, as I said, it's 23 years, and then it's done. You can get an extension up to 12 years per extension, but that requires state legislative action. So down in Springfield, you need to get a sponsor, and they need to actually vote for any extensions on the TIF. It's not done at the local level, it's only done down the state level. Very difficult to accomplish, so we're not even talking about it. Give me 23 years. And then the TIF is consistent with the comprehensive plan, the current comprehensive plan. As you guys have probably heard, we're going through a new comprehensive planning process right now. That's about an 18-month process, but everything that we're talking about regarding St. Charles and this corridor and everything is already in the existing 2009 comp plan. So the process, we drafted that plan, we put it on file. There's one in her office, there's one downstairs, there's one in my office. We're starting the notification for the public hearings and the joint review board. We have the public hearing in early January of 24, and then we actually formally adopt the plan at the village board level. That second meeting in January is what we're slating for. As I said, this is the bonus. We're doing the road show. I'm meeting with the library district. Oh shoot, I wrote library twice. Meeting with the school district and the library districts. So we're doing that. I'm accomplishing that in these 2 weeks, and then that's the process. Now I'm going to turn it over. If you guys have any questions, obviously we've been talking, but I'm here for any questions at all. Open book.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you anticipate from your experience that some residents will think that decisions will be made regarding property tax increase, kind of with the intention but not saying so, that they want to somehow have fund or have more money for the TIF? That's probably the wrong words.
No, what I'm finding is that people, mostly residents that are adjacent to or in it, are thinking that this will be an additional tax burden on them. And so my conversations with them through this entire process has been, no, this actually doesn't affect your tax bill. Like slide number 4 said, this isn't an additional tax on you. No, you are only there, either adjacent or in it, to benefit from this tax. It's not a tax on you. We're going to put this money on the side to help, honestly, improve your quality of life. What can we give you on this corridor that you don't have now? So,
Then can you clarify the property tax anticipated increase? Because that's what the TIF whole money is based on, an anticipated property tax increase down the line, not now.
Yeah.
Right?
correct. So
That's kind of what my question
Yeah.
is referring to. Okay.
So this one, so everybody has their base EAV right now, right?
Right.
And so if, I mean, just pick any site, I don't care.
But the
any-
additional funds above the base go into almost like an escrow type account
Yeah.
that can be used
Exactly.
for that area in that 20
And the
area.
additional funds, meaning increase in property taxes?
For that
Anything over the
site.
base value.
For that site,
For
because
that
they made it, yes.
site.
So if,
Ah.
I don't care, no one's insulted if I just pick a random
No,
site, right?
shit,
Okay.
pick one.
All right, because it's right here in front of me. You have a gas station in front of us, right?
Yeah.
Let's call it, it's worth $1 million. TIF gets created, lock in, $1 million. They will continue to pay their tax bill based on $1 million. Developer comes to me and says, I would like to demo this, and I'm going to put in 10,000 square feet of retail and 75 rental apartments above it. That is valued at $5 million. And don't check my math, right? That is a $4 million difference. That $4 million then has a tax implication because your property goes up.
Oh, okay.
That spread, that $4 million difference goes into the TIF fund to help them pay for 23 years. So if they do that year one, I have 23 years of that improvement, which is what we're trying to accomplish.
Then
with
what are we
the
waiting
union.
for? No, I thought it was
Exactly.
resident,
No,
okay.
exactly. No,
Very good.
it's site
Thank you.
specific. So that
Site specific,
yes,
that's
what
the
can
term.
we do on that site to juice these numbers to have a high quality product?
Oh, wonderful.
Trying to increase value.
What about the EPA issue with that then?
Yeah. So yeah, exactly
Yeah.
right. So in order to create that investment, you're going to give me $4 million worth of value, which translates to $500,000 a year in tax, right? It's going to cost you $1 million to actually clean up the site, right? Okay, so that's a 2-year payback, $500,000. I will go and now draft a redevelopment agreement, an RDA, that says, okay, we'll give you the first 2 years of that payment back to you to cover the costs of your environmental cleanup, and then the rest is on you. And then I'm gonna take that to the village board, and they're gonna say, yeah, that sounds good. We can incentivize this by $1 million to clean up the property, because, you know, it's got probably a leaky underground storage tank or whatever. And then the rest of it comes into the fund for the next 21 years that we can spend that money on other things, or another site, or another project, or land acquisition, or all those other things. And so that's how that works. That's
And
how
at
that
the
chart.
end of the 23 years, the village gets the full, or you get the full value.
At the end of the 23 years, the
Into
TIF
the-
expires, and then
goes
everybody
into
else gets
general
that full
fund.
bit. So that $500,000 that we were taking will then get dispersed to all the taxing districts to the percentages that they already get.
And is somebody gonna do a drawing of either and or the new comprehensive growth plan, what they visualize?
Yeah, the comp plan, yep.
Or, and or this TIF district, I mean, in my own mind,
Comp plan is a village-wide document.
okay.
Comp plan will account for everything in the village. It is
So
a
I will be
village-
able to look and say, oh, wow, there's those 5-foot, 7-foot sidewalks, tree, I mean, like that. Is that a
So,
rendering? I'm asking about a rendering.
so comprehensive plan is broad stroke.
It's not that specific.
Okay,
You're talking about site design, which is really getting into the weeds, right? Comp plan is a village-wide document. I almost have 5 square miles of community that I need to plan for. That's a broad stroke. This is an appropriate location for commercial. This is an appropriate location for mixed use.
but is there a way for us to see, because what you've shared is, we have 3-foot sidewalks in the 70s, if we look, you know, they were
Yeah.
5 or 7.
So in our budget, we're accounting for, so the phrase that we use today is called complete streets. From right-of-way line to right-of-way line, I need a complete street, which does not only mean vehicular, it also means the pedestrian realm, the bicycle, landscape, all those things. It's an actual complete street.
Do you
And that's
plan
what
on-
we're going for.
And do you plan on having any rendering? Because if I was in the audience, I'd be all worried. But if I saw it, I'd say, oh my God, is that what
We
it's
may
gonna
have,
look like?
yeah, we may have some stuff coming down, but like, the tricky part is that you have to create the TIF, and then you can start funding additional studies and other documentation to show exactly what we want.
Okay.
Otherwise, then you're spending those monies up front when really they're all TIF eligible expenses.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, let's create a TIF, and then the first thing you do is a graphic that, $5,000 worth of planning and saying this is what it would look like.
But maybe if we have an in-resident artist, I'm telling you, a picture tells that 1,000 words.
True, but one of the first things we are going to do when the TIF is created is actually get engineered surveyed of what we're dealing with, so we can actually go from there and then start a very early, not preliminary, but concept designing on what we could actually fit. IDOT standard on a carriage walk is 7 feet.
Carriage walk.
You're not even looking at standards today. Like, you're looking at old school stuff. Like, it's bad. It's unacceptable. If I rebuilt it, I couldn't put it back at 3. It doesn't allow me to. So everybody's so used to this because it's been status quo for so long. It doesn't meet any modern standard. So everything's getting fixed. That's
How about
the
a bike lanes?
Bike lanes are a potential, right? But then you have a give and take, because do I want to provide parking on site so that I don't have to build seas of parking lots. I kind of put parking in the right of way directly in front of all the businesses and get biking some other direction, So there's give and take and all that stuff. So we haven't
This is
done
off the trail, so you have the big.
True.
exactly.
Very
This
How do I-
particular thing is right off the trail.
How do I do a
So
stub?
that's probably where you should be biking.
Exactly.
Safety wise.
So-
Yes.
Though I'm hearing you say, oh, and people are gonna walk to restaurants, this and that. There's a lot of us that ride our bike, just
Yeah,
saying.
for sure. That doesn't mean I won't put in bike racks and get you there,
Oh,
but
okay,
but
fair enough.
Yeah,
But I have a bike massive, right? 100,000 annual riders on the Great Western Trail, and then I've got Salt Creek over here. I just need to figure out how to get them from here to here. Is that a bike lane, or is that a spur that puts me to a location where I've got bike parking accommodations, and then you could walk up and down the corridor?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Of course.
Can you go back to what a TIF? I think you had a slide what
Yeah.
a TIF can't do, what it can and can't do.
It was right there, actually.
Was it this one?
Yeah, that one.
That's not a significant qualifier, so that's not a good enough reason to do it. Was it the TIF eligible expenses one? Oh, I don't know.
I think you had one. Unless I imagined it.
There we
Yeah,
go.
there we go.
Not direct funding for private construction costs.
Gotcha. Yeah, and you said that would be like if they want to build a whole building.
Yeah, I can't pay for that building. I can't pay for the bricks and sticks, right?
Does it pay for demolition of?
It does.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Demolition is a TIF eligible expense.
Great.
Land acquisition, TIF eligible expense. Environmental remediation, TIF eligible expense.
Wow.
Those are the three areas where you're going to capture your highest eligibility
Okay.
because they're just so damn expensive. Yeah, so those three things right off the bat. Every deal I do, those are the first three things I do. Because first you have to buy it, then you have to demo it, and then you have to clean it up before you actually put anything in the ground. So I put those always at the top three. What's that value? And then we go from there.
And is that, I guess, just because I want to like get a good idea of
Yeah,
how
for
it works.
sure.
Does a developer come to you guys first, and that's kind of where they say, "Hey, I want to get this done. What can the
Yes.
TIF cover?"
Yeah, it usually starts with the conversation of if they're not intimate with the community, do you have a TIF? Where is it? And when does it expire?
Okay.
Because every year that they pay into it is how much total increment can be collected, which can then be used to cut a deal, right? And the example I gave you is right off the bat, $500,000 for 22 years equals $11 million, right? $500,000 for 4 years, it's not nearly $11 million. So timing really is important in this. Everything that we can accomplish in the first 5 years is going to be incredibly lucrative on the out years. Year 20, 22, 23 are really hitting the TIF, and that's when you can spend big dollars on big, hairy, man, these are big improvements. We're budgeting $10 million for the complete streets of St. Charles Corridor. $10 million bucks.
Wow.
So in the
That's what it's
beginning,
gonna
though,
take though.
in the
I can't
beginning, the
wait.
funds aren't there. I mean,
Correct.
So
That is
the
correct.
TIF has to build up the funds.
Yes.
In order to be dispersable.
Correct. And so that's why there's a thing called pay as you go.
Oh.
Back in the day, many TIFs, especially in Chicagoland, would bond. They were like, we have a TIF plan. It says we're going to create $70 million worth of increment. Let's go bond 10 million of that and then have that in the bank so we can hand it out and cut all these deals, right? And then the developers didn't come or something went awry and now you're on the hook for $10 million. You have to pay it back. You're obligated to, right? Otherwise you go in default and your credit rating falls and all the bad things, right? I am not recommending in this that we go to bond. I'm recommending we do as a pay as you go. On your development, you tell me through your pro forma what you think your value will be, what are your development expenses. We do a full financial analysis on every single deal, and then we figure it out and you pay as you go. Sweet little caveat is that TIFs are allowed to go negative. As long as there's general fund dollars to cover that cost, the TIF can actually go negative. So if we have to front some money for 2, 3, 4 years, whatever, out of 23, that's okay.
It's allowable.
That's totally allowable. As long as you work within the legal parameters of the TIF. So if my general fund has got $3 million sitting in the bank that we're not spending because it's reserved, the TIF can go $3 million negative.
Okay.
Don't go $3 million negative, but if I drop $500,000, it's going to be okay because the next year, in my example, it's just going to be hit the coffers again and you're going to be fine. So you have to use those financial tools that the TIF gives us.
So Mark, so if, do you market, are you gonna let developers know, and if so, at what point in the process?
Yeah, so that's a very fine line because I don't own the property.
Ah.
I don't also want to step on the toes of the actual development community, brokers and realtors. Like there's an entire industry that is designed for that, right?
Okay.
Am I going to have relationships with all of those brokers and realtors and people that work in this market? Absolutely. Am I going to market it like they would? No, I am not going to say, here's a flyer that says this property is for, that is not my responsibility and I would be overstepping because they have their own livelihood to handle. That is what brokers do, right? They cut deals and they get a commission. Well, if I bring them some guy,
Or would it be prudent that you just let people know that Villa Park
yeah.
is doing a TIF?
that's what I do. That's my job.
Okay.
Yes.
You are the
Yes,
market. Okay.
right. But on a site specific, am I going to try and sell a property? No. Conflict of interest. I shouldn't do it. It's probably unethical.
But getting the word
But-
out for TIF is what I
Oh
really
God,
meant.
yes. Oh yes. Scream it
what-
from the rooftops.
What point,
Yeah.
what point in
Yeah.
the process, other than like right now?
Well, we've already started the underneath, but until it's technically approved,
Okay,
I don't want to,
okay.
you know what I mean, right? Because
Right.
it's never real until it's
And
real.
generally, I think for the expenses, they wanna hit the TIF early.
Yes, they do.
So anybody who's gonna come is waiting for that
Yep.
date.
They'll be,
to
yeah,
assess.
they'll be.
They won't come because you wanna hit it in the first 5 years
Yep.
or so. So to get the best increment, to get the most value out of it. So it will be in the beginning that you get the most.
Yeah, my
Most
blanket,
bite.
Okay.
my blanket, screaming from the rooftops in, call it February 24 is going to be massive. But it's not. I can't go and say, hey, by the way, go buy this site. No, here's the TIF. Go cut a deal.
look at-
Go
Right,
brokers.
right. Good.
Brokers.
Okay.
Be the seller's agent. Put this thing on the list so then, CBRE and Berkshire Hathaway, guys, get all your clients. Here you go. Go sell it, put it on
And that's when they
MLS,
start-
rock and roll.
Brokers themselves start calling all the properties.
They have a
Do you wanna
network.
sell, do you wanna sell, do
Uh-huh.
you wanna sell? That happens all the time.
Huh? I'm going to let the real estate world do what it does.
Oh, very good. Okay,
Yeah, and then
thank
here I've got this financial mechanism to help them along.
you. Okay.
Oh yeah. Did that answer your not question?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I know we went circled on it, but I want to come back.
No,
Make sure we
it's
got
all
it.
good.
Cool.
So and then just like when you were on the map slide, those bundles of like those parcels here.
Yeah.
That's just suggested based off of what. Like your research.
What'll
talking
create
to-
a nice little.
Exactly. Yeah. So like we've got one little sliver over here, A, and we included it, but this is a complete development, and this is a complete development.
Gotcha.
So I'm not gonna assemble that together. So this is kind of by itself. A is by itself, and it's a sliver, but that doesn't mean something can't happen on it, right? But it's there. The other ones, as you see, color coded, are multiple properties, multiple pins, sometimes multiple property owners too. But like S, the majority of that's one property owner except for that and that. R,
Gotcha.
one property owner except for that and that. So like,
They're already kind of.
they're right. They're there. They're so close, right? And the conversation with the other guys was like, "I'm in if the big guy's in." Excellent, right? So that's how you come together. And
Is RMCC motorcycle?
R is majority is MCC, correct? Yep. And then S is
Which they found a buyer.
Jewelry
They have a
exchange,
Yeah.
both
Yeah,
of which
I got 23
are
years.
ripe if they're willing to sell.
He sounds like a young, cool guy.
I'll just catch it on the back end. It'll be fine. Yeah, if I get everything else and R is the last one to go and you're 20, that's still a success. Great success.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I can't force any. We're Illinois, right? Property owner rights. I cannot force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. Here's just an opportunity for everybody to succeed. If they don't want to sell, totally fine. But if you do something cool.
All right, they don't have to joint venture like you were saying too.
Yeah.
Right? They don't have to.
They don't have to. It's a nice, easy way to do it. Everybody agrees on the front end. You get 20%, you get 8%, you get whatever, and it equals 100. We sign that agreement, and then we cut one deal with developer Q, right?
And were you saying like if the developer, so let's say the joint venture of one of these
Yeah.
like groupings, they want to sell, but the developer doesn't want to pay that much that the TIF will cover the difference. Is that?
It could. It absolutely could, right? That is part of the cutting a deal, right? Is why they come to me on the front and say, I'm thinking about doing this. It's going to cost me $20 million. I can only pay $1 million on the land because, labor and material costs and interest
Right.
rates and all the sob story stuff that I hear, right? I can only pay $1 million. They're asking for $1.5 million. Can the TIF come up with a half? Well, let's look at your performance and see if we can come up with a half.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
What would be the process for that? Is it just?
So it's weird. There's no technical application for a TIF. It's can we cut a deal, a financial deal that makes sense, that is lucrative for everybody, property owner, village, and the developer. And so we just draft a redevelopment agreement and run it up the board, and we do a sales pitch and see how it goes. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, but by establishing it, it's saying Villa Park is ready. We are development friendly. We're going to do some cool things. Let's go. Otherwise, if you're not, don't create the TIF. The TIF is telling everybody, let's do some stuff.
Gotcha. All right.
Very good. Anybody
Yeah.
else have any questions for Mark on this? It's a good presentation. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You really made it,
Yeah, it's
solidified.
good to see the figures.
Okay, we will move on to public comments on agenda and non-agenda items. We have Joe Maury here. Thank you for patiently listening to all that, Joe.
Thanks, Ron.
Can I speak on that after I speak?
Yes, sir, so the floor is yours.
So, thank you. So, I'm
Things being done.
sharing with you an email that I sent earlier this week to Manager Harline, Bob Wagner, who chairs the Environmental Concerns Commission, and of course, Mark McLaughlin. And his response, timely response, I might add, thank you for that, is included in the packet. Also in the packet is a CDM Smith designation of the boundaries of what impacted properties would be should Ardmore Avenue underpass with Terrace Avenue included be accepted by the village. And then there's also a drawing in the packet of TIF 6. This is under the metro station improvements. Greetings. My name is Joe Omori, and I chair the Bike, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee of the Environmental Concerns Commission for the Village of Villa Park. On Monday, September 11th, 2023, I spoke before the Committee of the Whole after the presentation by CDM Smith on the feasibility study on the topic of building unrestricted passage by the Union Pacific Railroad at the 3 Villa Park crossings, Addison Road, Ardmore Avenue, and Villa Avenue. Although my overall thoughts were not discussed because of time constraints, I believe we have a unique opportunity should Ardmore Avenue be chosen for this project. Block crossings by stopped or slowed trains delay first responders, prevent commuters from reaching the final leg of their trip once they have detrained, encourage risky behavior to avoid delays from approaching trains, prevent Villa Park from building ridership and revenue while other nearby communities offer unimpeded access, amenities, and more housing options, and prevent the consideration by PACE to reroute the current 313 service to serve the metro station. A major project like this will require significant infrastructure changes for the area, no matter what the final design may be. Even something as simple as a pedestrian-only underpass for the metro station, which is owned by Union Pacific and currently for sale, will benefit the district. I propose revising the current TIF district to allow for the aging rental properties and businesses around Ardmore Avenue and the metro station to be replaced by multiple transit-oriented development structures to finally add the modern businesses, senior housing options, which are sorely needed in Villa Park, shops and dining that are offered along the UP West Metro line, Elmhurst, Lombard, Glen Ellen, Wheaton, and along other metro lines. We should also immediately add vehicle charging stations on both sides of the tracks and seal coat and restripe the south parking lot to make the parking angled with traffic flow eastward. This will reduce confusion for metro riders and local residents, thus adding value for our current users. I will attend the Economic Development Commission meeting this Wednesday to present this proposal for your consideration. Thank you for your attention. Be safe and well, Joe Maury. So, I've been a resident here since 1985. My wife and I have retired now 4 years. This is considered Villa Park our home. We love this community. We retired in place specifically because we love this community. And we just, we see tower cranes going up all around us. Transit-oriented development, even though ridership downtown has not yet gone back to pre-COVID levels, people still go downtown for social, for work. Even if it's a hybrid schedule, they're still going downtown 3 days a week. And that's going to increase. So I wasn't expecting a response. I just wanted to present that as a proposal for consideration. Thank you for your attention on that. In regard to the agenda item, because I've lived here for so long, and this has come up a number of times in the Bike, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee, I plan on making this TIF 7 an agenda item for either October or November, because the bottom line is that we've had discussions about this. We believe that St. Charles Road should be designed for traffic calming. 1 lane in each direction, curbside parking, bump outs for pedestrian crosswalks at each intersection, reduce speed to 25 miles an hour, and make it more, less a opportunity for people to come to Villa Park, not through Villa Park. So that's basically our concerns, and we will bring it up, and when you get farther along on this TIF 7, we'd like to invite you to come and speak on behalf so that we can be
Absolutely.
on the ground, putting in the infrastructure for the transit users, the bike users. So, again, thank you for your time. If anybody didn't get, I have one extra, one of these packets. I know.
Keep them in, I've gotten one here.
All right, well,
Thank you for your time, Joe, appreciate your concerns.
Thank you.
Moving right along, commissioner comments. Would you like to start off?
Yeah, I'll start.
Okay.
I don't really have a whole awful lot since I've been out this last little bit. I think to Villa Park, not through Villa Park, could be like a T-shirt or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, it sounds all great, and thank you for educating us on the.
I'm writing
TIF
that down, by the
7.
way. That's,
Yeah.
I'm writing it down.
I get like a loyalty on it. Though, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. No, but it's definitely interesting to hear about the TIF 7, and I see the same thing. I think obviously having more retail and everything could help, grow the population here and bring more money obviously into the village as well. I did have another question. I know you had mentioned like some of the examples you mentioned were kind of like structured. Retail on the first floor or something like that.
Yep.
And then like an apartment or suites or something like that. Is that kind of what the goal is going?
That
to be?
is so. So as you guys know, Villa Park is landlocked, right? So the only way for us to grow is up. We can't grow out anymore. We have to grow up, and so yes, you have to get. Some communities don't enjoy this word, but the word is density. And the only way to do that is by stacking residential on top of retail, commercial, service-oriented uses. You have to be able to grow up because we can't just go annex 20 acres. So in order to increase our population and have a appropriate tax base and all the other things that go along with a healthy community, you gotta go up, not out.
Gotcha. Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was everything.
Okay. Patrick?
I agree with Ethan there. It's nice being able to drive through and eventually be able to, stop rather than just straight through. I grew up with the Ovaltine being built and everything in Elmhurst, and that was just, I didn't know the aspect of it, money-wise and everything, but this is really exciting, just seeing that the center of town being able to get where it needs to be, get
Yeah.
people to stay.
Got it?
Thank you so much for the presentation. It really made, explanation is excellent for the TIF. I was not that clear on it,
Yeah.
so now I am.
Good, yeah.
So I'm really happy. I've been in Villa Park for 24 years. We built our house and we've
Wow.
sat there. All my 5 children attended schools in Villa Park, and I don't think I would ever leave Villa Park. So I'm really excited to hear
Yeah, it's nice to see
About-
growth.
this news. Very exciting.
Patrice?
I'll be excited in 23 years old. I'll be 90 years old. And I hope to walk that carriage walk, if that's what it's gonna be. I really appreciate the presentation. It's new information to me. I feel really excited under your direction for this. I'm in agreement with everything you shared. I don't see one wrong thing with it. So, and then additionally, we were talking in our other meeting about how we're surveying businesses. And I went to many businesses and I have a lot of comments, but maybe we can do that next time. So thank you for
Excellent.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna skip right to then, I just got a couple of comments to say. One is, any ideas for the agendas in the future, if anybody wants to reach out to me ahead of time that Friday before the meeting, or to Pat Baksha, you can get it, something put on the agenda quite often.
Thursday would be better, because Monday is the deadline.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, say that?
Thursday.
Thursday would be better,
We're
yes,
finalizing it on Friday.
Okay.
So,
understandable. But yeah, so we're on that, when it comes out, are you planning to attend? If there's something you would like to see on the agenda, it can definitely go on earlier, but that
Yeah.
Thursday is kind of the deadline to get it out in time. So, Yeah, if there's something like that you want to talk about, especially we are kind of sometimes looking for items to talk about here, so that would be great. I was gonna go on to that next. The business retention visit, I have my first one coming up with Sarah O'Brien of Sarah O'Brien Photography this week. I had reached out to University of Dermatology and Aesthetics a couple weeks ago. I made contact with them. I'm waiting to hear back from Helena, who is their office manager, also I guess handling their public relations. So hopefully, maybe by next month I'll have two that I can do, but I'll definitely have the one for Sarah O'Brien. If you do one, why don't you send that to me directly? That way I will make sure it gets on the agenda also, so that we have a spot for that. But yeah, just send it to me, because there are some rules about sending things to everybody, and if you do one person, it's just much easier, not violating anything. So just send it to me, or again, Pat, but send it to me and I'll make sure it gets on there. And then my last thing is Villa Avenue Business Owners Association. We had a meeting last Tuesday. Trustee Kevin Patrick came. We had about 12 businesses there. There's about 40 in our group. Gave a small presentation on the comprehensive plan. And so that went out to all of the businesses basically along Villa Avenue, or most of them, a majority, to try and take a few minutes to do that comprehensive plan. So just reminding that here, if anybody can look, it's on the invillapark.com website. I think it's right on the main page at the top, a link to it. The other thing is we are doing our trick or treat down the street again on Saturday, October 28th from 1 to 3 on Villa Avenue. Costume contest at Cortese Park 3 to 4. If anybody's available, I'll remind you again next month. But so we did have a nice meeting about that. We had not met as a group in quite a while. So it was good to get together with everybody and see that. So just a little update on what's going on in the Villa Avenue corridor there, because I'm part of that. Yes.
Can I just say here, so you guys don't go to these businesses? I went to MCC Motorcycle, Charlie's Auto, all on St. Charles, Mark Mowers and More, Mike's Drum Shop, El Barrio, Perry's Music, and my favorite, Villa Perk.
Okay, excellent.
And I'll talk about that.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. That's all the comments I have. Sorry I wasn't here last month. I usually don't miss too many meetings, so I had something I was unable to attend. That brings us on to board liaison comments. Deepa, maybe if you want to go first, and then Mark can go after when Deepa's.
Basically, I want to make sure that you guys are reaching out with the comprehensive plan and reaching out to people you know. Like talk to your neighbors, talk to anybody you know. All the businesses are eligible, whoever you go in there, that's probably a nice starting point also to start the conversation. This is something we're doing also, we want your input. And even the village wants as a whole, wants your input, the more
It's
input we
not
get.
resident specific.
It's
If you
not
have anything to
resident
do with
specific.
Villa Park, if you have a business or, you come through here,
Yeah.
you're a resident. And Kevin brought up some good things, like even, you get to do like one per person, but if your children, if you want to include them in there as young or as old, like, they're looking for, sorry, I don't mean to take over your time, but, they're looking for all input.
It's all input, everybody in your family, different members have different agendas. The more holistic the input is, the better the value it is to everybody. Don't go out and fill out the survey for all of your family, that's
Right.
not the purpose, okay? But you do want their input, so I let my husband fill it out himself, I'll fill it out, if grandma wants to fill it out, grandma wants to fill it out herself, if she wants the old age home, that's what she wants.
Yep.
So that's how you get a good view of, and a good statistical.
Yeah, you know well
unit.
about that.
Yes, so that's what I'm gonna ask, that everybody fill out and get their family members to fill it out. It is a little long, talk to your neighbors, if you're talking about something that happened on next door, say, while you're at it, instead of complaining about this, get on that and do that, whatever you can do to get it out to as many people as possible. That would be my first statement. Last, when you weren't here, I was considering that we kind of change the name of our little group. Only because I feel that the name doesn't say what we do.
Sure.
Like economic development is not the only thing this group does. We do a lot of business concerns. And Gada came up with some other possibilities.
Okay.
I think also as a committee, from the perspective of a trustee, I don't get so much feedback from this committee except when I sit here. It would be nice that you guys have something to look at or, assess and give feedback as a group, which we can use when we make our decisions. So as to that, we need to have a little bit more discussion. I think we are, we're gonna have, or we have been talking about having a committee of the whole, which will
Yeah.
discuss all the different committees, their purposes, what are their goals. Ours also falls under that big umbrella, and we should really consider what is our purpose. Like, for instance, I know that you always have an issue with parking issues, right?
Not as
Which
much
is
lately, but I'm sure it'll be happening. during
yeah,
construction.
yeah. And that's a common thread among all the business owners with the TIFs and other things. So when we're making decisions on parking per se, it would be valuable to get the input of a committee that's only set up for, this purpose. And we don't have that kind of input from here. We get it from P and Z, we get it from, so we don't get any kind of feedback from
Correct.
this particular group, except now, which is really helpful with the feedback from the businesses, which is gonna be a nice thing, so.
I agree. I spoke actually since the last meeting with Manager Harline and President Kazone directly to that point where we are sometimes looking for items so where we can give some input, where like traffic and safety or P and Z get kind of like citations or different things already, that they have to then just discuss, that we are looking for some meatier stuff to get into. I brought up a little bit, the committee of the whole 2 times ago was on BYOB.
Right.
I thought in that business down on St. Charles, I thought that might have been actually something maybe we could have bounced off as some business owners and people that
Yeah,
was-
which makes sense, right?
just to give some feedback, just so it's more than the 6 or 7 on the board, so.
Yeah,
Hopefully
I
they can
feel like that's the purpose I was thinking about, and maybe a listing of things that we should be weighing on, like if it comes under certain categories, something like, usage of alcohol in business districts, that's one thing, right?
But I agree with you, I think we have some great minds here that we could really
Yeah,
give some more input.
Yeah, and that input would be valuable to people on the board, because a lot of times we're not getting the business input that we need. We're making the decision from a community standpoint, but a business standpoint, they are part of there's a specific sector in the community. So I think that's an important thing to
I think that would be
address
great
with this group.
to look at.
I'll let Mark kind of sit on that and,
Yeah.
and chew that a little bit and figure out where you want the input to.
Mark, do you have anything?
I mean, yeah, I can piggyback off a couple of things and actually bring up to speed on some other things that you guys have already talked about.
Sure, yeah.
Like the actual task to accomplish, right? Planning and zoning is its own animal, right? People petition and they have to hear the zoning case, and that's a churn and burn scenario, right? Here, it's different, but that doesn't mean we can't formulate things that come to you on a regular basis for discussion, for input, for recommendation to the village board. The whole point of the commission is to make recommendations to present to the village board that has been vetted from a resident commission level before it goes to the elected officials who are the final decision on just about everything, right? So yeah, I like that, and we can formulate something. I like EDC though, like EDC. Like changing the name, like EDC makes sense to me. That's why
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
From
Like
your
it's
perspective, I see
PCC,
that.
maybe
EDC.
I think.
I don't know, I just like,
no,
I like
think
that.
I don't
but-
mind the EDC.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think this is also a committee that could address some business concerns,
Sure.
and EDC doesn't speak, I think, to the community at large that way, and that's why I don't.
And economic
yeah.
development, to me, speaks of more of like new businesses
does,
or that
yeah.
not to existing businesses maybe, where
Yeah.
that business concerns is somebody who's been here 50 years, 75 years, where not that economic development doesn't, but they're chugging along doing just fine, they just want
Right.
more.
Yeah. My only concern with a business concerns is that it's a negative approach.
And I've talked to several businesses with this very subject. They said the same thing about, it was a good idea, business concerns, okay, at least we're one step. So they felt business support commission was
Yeah.
just
Yeah, that's
fine.
okay.
So yeah,
So
the
you're
concern was like,
supporting
oh,
everything.
Yeah,
you're gonna just get
been
complaints.
negative.
I mean, it
You know?
And
Yeah.
or
So
business
depressing.
support and
Yeah.
development.
Yeah, so we can
Yeah,
work
we
on it.
can-
I see
yeah.
what you're getting there.
Yes.
We're just trying to
Resident.
get
Mhm.
people to realize what you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then have
Yes,
more
yes.
people, like Joe came out with, he knows that
Yeah.
more people to come out and say, okay, I would like to have a talk on the TIF district.
Yeah.
Okay, and the business to come to us and know that would be it, something that we could
We can
address.
Yeah.
You know,
Cool.
so that's my concern, cause I don't even think a lot of the businesses know that
Sure.
it exists,
Right.
And-
You know, like,
Restructuring or mission statementing or
Mhm,
through the cow, which I think will be November.
yeah.
Through that dialogue may create a new 2024 marching orders for this group. So.
Yeah, I think,
So a couple other things. So you mentioned parking real quick. So I don't know if you were aware, but in the 2023 budget, we budgeted for a parking assessment on downtown Villa, and Old Ardmore.
Okay.
So I am in possession of the draft for Villa, and my comments and changes on that document will then dictate how they draft Ardmore, because I didn't want to do them both. And if I make the same comment, well, that's just a waste of time.
Sure.
So I'm working on the Villa one right now. So a full parking assessment was completed Thursday and Saturday. So just like a traffic study, you say how many cars went by at this time. We put 2 peaks, Thursday night and Saturday night.
Okay.
So we
Traffic counts, basically.
but parking.
Oh, parking.
But parking. So like a traffic study,
Okay,
it says
okay.
how many people are driving, how many people are parking here.
Yeah, okay.
That's stalled. So they calculated all parking, private, public, on street, so for the entire area, and then at those times, is it utilized? Is it not utilized? What's going on? So then all the raw data is there. That says this is what's happening on a Thursday night and what's happening
Can
on a
I
Saturday.
ask what time of the year that was done at though? Like, was it?
We just did it.
Oh, okay, so it was
This
done
is
in.
fresh data.
Awesome.
Yeah. Post COVID.
Not in like, yeah,
Right.
not in January 2nd on a snowy
No. We
Saturday.
went. I want summer nights. I want a summer Thursday
Yeah, no, okay,
night.
very
Yeah,
good,
no.
very good.
Yeah, because tell me what's real. Because
Yeah.
if Wednesday in the winter is
Well, that's what I'm
useless
saying.
data, right? No. We went for I want reality.
No.
What is going on?
Excellent. Very
So
good.
we have that raw data now that we can then put it in a full report on both those areas that says, are we short parking? Do we have a surplus of parking? Is it the problem that the location of where the parking is? Like we can
Sure.
actually, here's what we know, and it's an engineered study. It's KLOA, if you guys are familiar. They are the preeminent traffic and parking people in Chicagoland. So we're working with them on this. So I'm hoping to have that and then present to you guys the findings.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's one of those things that we didn't really get into, but like, yeah, I'm going to present that to you because it's a business deal, and then present the findings to the village board, which then ultimately would result in zoning ordinance modifications, adjustments, amendments. Is our parking count required too high? Is it too low? Should we get rid of parking requirements and let the community decide is this enough parking? Because if you have parking, you're going to go there. You're successful. Or should we make an initiative to say, let's put in a structure? Or I don't know. I'm just throwing something out there. But
we have
the
some
report will exactly now have a report that says this is what is happening. What do we want it to do? That kind of stuff. And then the comp plan. So the survey, we have so many ways to get your fingers on that thing. QR codes, website. It's all. I mean, it's just,
what are we up to count wise?
we are over 600 right now.
Okay, and we're
Yeah, I was
hoping
gonna-
for 1,000.
We're shooting for 1,000, right? I
I'm
put that
sure.
goal out there and said let's get 1,000. So
When is
Uh,
that, when
January?
is that, January?
so this is the technical answer is we will never turn away a survey. But we are going to start doing the actual analysis of what we got in October.
Oh, that could
Oh.
be.
Because they got to start. Now,
Yeah,
it's
no.
a lot of data, so it's going to take a long time. So if they start on October 7th and something comes in on the 8th, it's still going to get included.
Okay.
But we're leaving it open. We will collect all the information throughout the process. But the earlier it comes in, the more valuable it is, because then it gets lumped in with the first.
Okay. So we're getting
tranche.
near the end of.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we will most likely keep it open through Brewfest and have QR code. I mean, those are the best surveys. How many of you had? Take a couple, because you're
Yeah,
truthful.
they're mine.
You ain't gonna lie to me. So,
Yeah, do you have flyers?
we do
'Cause I've
no.
talked to so many people, they don't even know about it.
That's it. Oh my god! I honestly don't know how they don't know about it. It's everywhere. It's on water bills. It's on the
It's at the
website.
library.
It's on the
Okay,
library.
water
It is
bill.
I sent it on the water bill.
Who reads their water bill?
Nobody
Even as an
reads
off chance, if they like.
Unfortunately,
Okay,
You know
fair
what I
enough,
mean?
fair enough.
Yeah, yeah, and it is every so.
But it has been around. I mean, like you walk right in the library. There's a big.
It's
poster
right there.
board
Yeah,
with a
it's
QR code.
in Village Hall. It's in Public Works Building. It's in the parks, Iowa. Like it is everywhere.
But there's a lot of people who just don't read anything. You
Or they
kind
don't
of
go to
like,
those,
your
everything
reach
you
out
said,
will
like
be
you
helpful.
said, they don't go
so.
there, they don't go to village. A lot of
Facebook.
residents.
I mean, it's plastered on the
Okay,
Facebook
okay.
page. Like plastered. It's stuck actually on our Facebook page. So if you go there,
Pinned up there.
yeah,
And it is at the height
stuff
page if you.
And it's at the top of the
Yeah,
page.
it's at
It
the
is,
right- with
it's
a
the
red
very
light.
top
Yeah.
of the
With a
village
red-
page.
with a
Yeah.
Yeah, so like,
Yeah.
you're gonna see it on the digital billboard. It's
Oh,
gonna like it's
good.
with a tiny URL VPCP1.
When are we gonna see
I
that?
think it's posted right now.
Oh,
I
that's
think we did
great.
that,
That
on
is
Friday,
smart.
so you should see that. Yeah, so like
Okay.
if your VPCP1 is the tiny URL, like I'm really trying.
No,
You are.
and it's you've got 600, not bad.
Oh, yeah.
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 So, I think though, reach out is what works with that.
Yeah.
So whoever you know,
Yes.
whatever you
Word of
think,
mouth.
please, and
Yes.
just kind of bug
Yeah.
them.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
There it is.
you
Go
just
here.
bug all
Yeah.
your family
Send a
members and
text
friends.
with
you
the
know?
link on it.
Yeah,
Here,
text
hey,
is good.
do me a solid. I need 10 people. It's like the if you get 10 people, you get good luck. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like send it out, man.
Can I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
Pat, last time I had asked for if there was a list of new businesses within the last year in Villa Park, and I have this under your name, that you're working on it.
So
I just believe.
I'll take Pat on this. So one of the things that the community doesn't have is an active and updated business list. By address, all the businesses and who the contact is.
Okay.
One of the projects for 2024 is an actual creation from the ground up. Where are all the businesses and what is their address and what is their name? And so,
I was gonna get her a list of just from the year.
Yeah.
Just one, yeah.
oh, the CO list, yeah, that's a good one too. So like, this
this
is because
I completely forgot. I
No,
apologize.
no.
we have
Yeah,
businesses that have been here longer than I've been alive, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any record of a CO from them. So we need to actually say what is there. Go have an introduction. Be like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
You've been
We've
here
asked about it
forever.
a few times.
You have no retail component. You've just been operating some manufacturing industrial place. I don't know who you are.
Right.
So one of the things that I've tasked Pat with recently is taking all of our COs that we do have and centrally locating them so we can go through and create that actual business list. And so that's one of the things that, again, through this is here's our business list.
And will
Because you're
there-
going to meet businesses.
Exactly.
You don't know where they are.
Exactly.
You don't know who they are.
Exactly. So
So-
any kind of list of vacancies, is there any way to know vacancies, or is that not our business?
It's fine. That's your business. You're the Economic Development Commission. So the inverse of a business list, that address doesn't go away. It's
Okay.
blank, and now you know which ones are vacant.
And there's
It is a tool to
list of
now-
available.
There is,
Properties.
and
So-
honestly, we are probably going to get away from that
Okay.
to the reasons I spoke earlier about the real estate community having their own responsibility party.
Okay.
But I can't calculate our vacancy rate right now.
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
Not.
You know how many grant applications ask me for a vacancy rate? Freaking all of them. So if I can get better data that says here's all our businesses, how many businesses do we have in town? No idea. We need better data, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that list by itself, which can then be manipulated in multiple ways, can give you so many different data sets to actually produce out information. Hey, we have over 1,000 businesses. Do you know how many of those are not chain? 500 of them, right? So
Right.
that's the kind of stuff that we want to do, but it's going to take a little while because we have a lot and we're starting from the ground up on it.
Do
Honestly.
you have to hire an outside thing, or
We're going to do
can
it
we
internally. We're going to do it
Okay.
internally. That's why it's a year
I'll
project.
volunteer.
Hire that's staff.
Oh.
That's a combination of
We'll come up with some
Pat,
more products.
our planner,
I was-
some other staff. It'll most likely be tied into GIS so that we know where everything physically is as well to the list that is a spreadsheet. So, so that's what's going on. So, I don't know what else was I talking about. Comp plan we did, EDC, parking. So I think I'm good.
Anything major business changes around here that? anything-
Major?
Well, you got
Usually
Casey's
they give
opening.
us an update here
Oh,
on
sure.
what's going on with
Just
all
like-
Oh,
me and
yeah.
this. Why don't you give that update?
Yeah. So I have to. I mean, this is that fine line between confidentiality and what's public knowledge, right? So we are. I'm going to speak broadly, just because of the secrecy of some stuff. Turns out when people find out that a deal is happening and then someone comes in and swipes it, they get really angry with me. so that's why the confidential, deal's not done until you close, right?
No.
Contract is actually not worth a damn thing. So we are working with a property owner to redevelop a site on North Avenue. It would be a complete demolish and redo, completely new land use. It's a national brand that's coming in, and they are working on a contract right now. Once they have that contract, it would be a special use, rezoning, subdivision, so full blown. You'll see it everywhere. So we've had very early, good conversations with them about redevelopment on North Avenue.
Residential?
No.
Oh, I
Oh,
thought you said subdivision.
subdivision.
So subdivision does not mean residential.
Okay.
Subdivision is a tool to cut up and property.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Oh.
I always thought it was
yes.
residential.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Us-
Yes.
okay.
So yes, a commercial subdivision completely exists. Yeah. So no, non-residential. No. There's some right of way over there that we would potentially vacate and add to the lot so they can make a larger footprint and a bigger development because it's unused, unimproved. So that requires a plat of subdivision. So, sorry.
I have a good idea what you're
Learn
talking
something new.
Huh?
Another thing
about.
new.
I have a pretty good guess. what you're
Okay.
talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah,
Right. So worst case rumor, right? But I can't. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
Casey seems to be doing well.
Cases
Yeah,
is
great.
doing well.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, and then
That's
that's
nice.
usually what we get here also, these kind of segments,
Yeah.
the new businesses that are
Yeah.
kind of taking off on the ground, so
I wanted
Casey
to know
seems to
what's
run.
next to Burlington.
Yeah,
I wanted to know. Is there
Want it
anything?
or you do know or you want
No,
to?
no, I don't know.
I think they're doing
I'm-
facade
or is
improvements
that-
there.
So again, we've issued a permit on it, so we can speak openly on this one because before that it was still a hush hush. But it is a online grocer.
Okay.
Oh,
You can
Amazon?
figure out what that
Yeah.
is.
Oh,
That's what's on the application.
Okay.
So
Wow.
Amazon?
Oh.
Is it?
yeah,
That's good, actually.
That's
Yeah.
really good.
it is.
That's really good.
Really
That
good.
will
So-
generate us some
Yeah.
nice
Oh, yeah.
revenue.
So that's what's happening there. But again, they got to do the build out and all this stuff. And there's landlord versus tenant improvements, and there's that fine line they got to cut. So that is what's happening over there.
Very good.
Online grocers right there on the permit application. I didn't say anything I can't say.
I was gonna ask too about. I know you had mentioned Villa Perk, right?
Yeah.
They're having their grand opening.
Yes,
Yes,
Saturday.
they are.
Is it
This Saturday.
Well, they
Oh, it
basically,
is?
I think, have been open this week, 8 a.m.
The soft launch or whatever.
Soft launch.
Yeah,
They were open
let's call it a soft launch.
this Saturday before
I
Labor
heard
Day and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, the 23rd.
23rd.
Hours are gonna be from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. So
Oh,
Fantastic.
it's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
They did really well on the second soft opening
Yeah.
last Saturday.
Nice.
Good. No, they had so much hype. Like I don't even know how they got so much hype. But man,
Posted for a long
everybody and
time.
their brother was like, "When's the Villa Perk opening?" I was like,
Yeah.
"This little
They were
coffee shop
posted
is
for a
getting
long
so much." So yeah, I mean, good for them. Maybe they got a guerrilla marketing campaign that I don't know about. But man, I hope they do very well.
All right, can we get a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second
Second from God. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good meeting, everybody.
Thank you. Good meeting.
Nice meeting you, Mark.
Yeah, you too. Thank you guys.
Oh yeah, and then would